We come back to the E9 podcast. We're going to talk about the big cat. We all have varying feelings on him, but we can all agree on one thing. He does move the needle. And as was put so very well this week, he is the needle. And he was someone said the package the needle was delivered in. And so I want to talk a little bit about Tiger Woods before we kind of jump into this list. Tiger is second behind Jack Nicklaus in major championships. Do we think he will catch Jack? I don't know. We can talk about that a little bit here at the end. It's one of the questions I have for you guys as we get towards the end of our podcast. Tiger is also tied for the tour lead in wins. He is tied. Anybody know who he's tied with? Sammy, slamming Sammy Snead, right? And John, for you, and I'm sure Hayden and Mike, you care a little bit, but John and I are older. I want to give you some historical context. I'm putting my glasses on here for Tiger's comparison to Sam Snead, because I don't think anybody's ever going to do a podcast going, let's break down Sam Snead's 10 biggest wins. They both have won 82 tournaments and definitely different eras, but Snead had an incredible career. But I want to put some perspective to Snead's career. So bear with me for 2 seconds as I bore you with some historical data that I may or may not edit out of this podcast. Both have 82 wins. How many wins do you think Tiger had by the time he had to kind of take his hiatus in 2009? Anybody have any guesses of his 82? By the time he was 34 years old, how many wins do you think Tiger had?
Less than 30.
70.
No,
It's
I was going to say 70, yeah.
71.
I don't know.
So by the time he was 34 years old, that's younger than Mike, I think. And Mike, you're a young man. Is that younger than you, Mike?
I'm 36.
Yeah, just younger than you.
Feel like I'm 50.
How many tour wins do you have?
None yet. But
how many player of the years
yet.
do you have? All right. Tiger, 71 wins by the time he was 34 years old. Snead, 42 wins. Nothing to sneeze at, right? But Sam had 40 wins after he was 34. Tiger's only managed to win, 11 more times with all that has gone on in his life, the injuries, the scandals and all those things. So I think it's kind of interesting to keep in context that Tiger, in a perfect world, would be over 100 wins right now easily. It's crazy to think that he had 71 by 34 and had only ended with 82 where we are now. Also, some things to think about as you look at the longevity of these two guys who lead the all-time wins. Snead, he played his last tour event at 72 years old. He played on the PGA Tour. So he first played on the tour when he was 23, and he played till he was 72. When Sam Snead was 54 years old, he made 7 of 7 cuts on the PGA Tour. Played 7 events, made 7 cuts, and finished top 10 in a major, the 6th in the PGA Championship. When he was 67 years old, he played 6 events. 67, all right? That's older than you, John. 67 years old. He played in 6 tour events, PGA Tour events, in 1967. That's, Palmer. That is really good players. Nicklaus, he made 4 cuts that year at 67 years old. He had a top 10 on the PGA Tour when he was 63. He finished 3rd in the PGA Championship when he was 62. And from the age of 60 to 61, I'll tell you all, I'm 50. I had trouble playing 36 holes last weekend. It took me a week to recover. Sam Snead played in 24 tour events from age 60 and 61 and made 24 cuts. That's incredible. So when you look at Sam Snead and compare him to Tiger Woods, it's a really, really impressive comparison to put Tiger in company like that. But we know Tiger's not making that way. And think about how good Sam was for how long he was. And I bring all that up to say this. At the age of 48, where Tiger is now, Sam Snead at the age of 48, how many tour events do you think Sam Snead won after the age of 48? What the age Tiger is now? Going back to my first questions.
32.
4. He won 4. Good, Mike. He won 4 events at 48. This is a guy who was the most long-ranging tour pro ever. So I think that I want to believe Tiger can win again. I want to believe there's one more magic week. But man, even the most durable Ironman in the history of golf could only squeeze out 4 more wins, and probably against inferior competition after 48 years old. His last win for Sam Snead was age of 53. I also want to say Sam Snead's list of victories includes a number of 4-ball events, limited field events. He actually won I want to ask you this question. He won an event called the Dallas Open Invitational when he was 45 years old. Can someone explain to me what an open invitational is? Is that a contradictory term? So
it is confusing.
It's open to anyone who's invited.
Okay.
It's an open invitation. And then I can't remember, was that event sponsored by Marlboro, or was that Camel that sponsored
That's right.
that event?
So Snead's a different era. And so I think we can all agree, whether we like him or not, Tiger is probably the greatest champion in golf history. You know, he's 10 clear of Nicklaus. He's not going to reach Nicklaus's number of titles, but Tiger, when he had a chance to win, he won. He doesn't have the number of second place finishes that Jack has, because when he had a chance to win, he won. So we're going to look at his top 10 wins, try to pare this down to a list of 10, and then we're going to rank those. So we're going to start by nominating tournaments. And so I randomly drew an order before we kicked off tonight's pod. And it's going to start with you, Mike. You're going to get to make the first nomination for a Tiger Woods victory. And then we'll go right down the list to Hayden, John, Josh, then back to Mike. So, Mike, what's your first nomination for Tiger? And if we all agree it's a green lighter and he hits a top 10, we're going to put it over there and then move on to the next one. What do you got?
The 2019 Masters, the 2019 Masters. And that's for me. I don't have – listen, I started playing golf – 7 years ago, been watching the game for 10. So this was the first real like wire to wire Tiger's going to win it kind of tournament that I ever witnessed. So to me, that's why I'm throwing that one out there.
But I think it's really important, Mike, because there's a lot of people, this was their first exposure to Tiger, right? Because they hadn't seen Tiger really do anything on this scale since 2008. So if you were newer to the game back in 2019, that would make sense. Like that's a pretty big win. I think we all had that on the list, right? John?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So that's a green lighter, right? We're just moving that through. All right. So we're moving that through.
Green light.
Green light. 2019
green jacket,
through.
green light.
Hayden, you're next.
Okay. I was at this event. Flegel, you gave me a little bit of a hard time because I left early because I had to. My boss. I was working for this teacher at the time that was like, "You better be back in the office by Monday morning." 8 a.m. But the 2018 Tour Championship, I think, for so many different reasons. One was that like that kind of felt like Tiger's back, and like maybe he could win another major. And spoiler alert, he did. And then also just that picture of the sea of humanity is like something like I feel like we saw that only in like old golf clips of like everyone, you know, someone making a putt and then everyone storming in and carrying off all the equipment. Of like that's the closest I think we'll get of like just the whole crowd is just swarmed around Tiger, and that's something so special.
It was amazing, and it's an image that they still use in advertising. Well, they used to in that Nike advertising. So I don't know if we can green light that one right away, Hayden. It's on my list. John, is that on your list as well?
It's on my list, but I would not green light it yet.
Okay, hold on to it. I think it's one that is definitely debatable. So Hayden, I do remember being very angry at you for leaving on Sunday and not being part of that mass of humanity because I wanted to see you down there. Mike, do you remember that one at all?
No, I do not.
Fair enough. All right, John, your turn.
I'm going to go with the 2031 Masters when Tiger shoots 65 on Sunday to beat Charlie Woods and Gordon Sargent on the 18th hole. It was incredible for his 16th major championship. And 6th Masters jacket. It's awesome.
At the age of 55, beat Phil Mickelson's record. I'm going to go ahead and just put a little mark next to that one. And if we are still doing this in 2031,
there we go. I'm going to say the 97 Masters. Young Tiger wins his first major at Augusta, and destroys the field. And incredible tournament.
Okay. Again, that's a no-brainer for everybody. Anybody want to argue against maybe the biggest landmark victory? All right, so that's in the 97 Masters. Were you really?
Yeah, that was my first Masters.
You are linked. Are you linked to Tiger Woods like karmically? That's
something like that. You
guys like brethren? That's really something.
Yeah, somewhat.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take my turn here. I'm gonna put the 2000 U.S. Open on the list. To me, that is the most dominant tournament victory in the history of professional golf at Pebble Beach against a field that couldn't crack par. You know, he blitzed everybody 15 shots. So I'm putting the 2000 U.S. Open on my nominations list.
I certainly think we can greenlight that one, and I think I could probably do your list for you. I would have put that as at the top for you. 97. I would have put all the ones we've greenlighted. You know, I would have put on your list, including I would have put the 18 Tour Championship on your list for sure.
It's on my list. It is.
Yeah.
Hayden and I both had it on our list. It's definitely 18 Tour Championship. It may be in my top 10. So,
yeah.
All right. So we've got 4 nominations and 3 automatics. So we got 7 spots left to fill. Mike, we're coming back to you for another nomination.
Yep. So I may not remember the 18 championship, but the 06 Open Championship, I think anyone that watched SportsCenter, you know, teared up a little bit. That was the first major he won after losing his dad.
Yep.
It was a big scene on the 18th green. You know, everyone knew whether you watched golf or not who Tiger was, and that was kind of the first breakdown you ever saw of him on live TV. So I'd throw that one in the ring.
I have that one marked on my list as well, and all I have next to it for notes is no Earl. Like it really was that moment where like this monolithic figure that's been in his life was not there, and it felt empty to all of us. Like or hate Earl, it felt empty. So, you guys have that on your list? Anybody else?
Yeah, I did not have it on the list, but I do love for the fact what Mike was saying. It's like it's such a humanizing moment that Tiger seemed like such a robot for so long, and this was like one of the moments we finally saw him like crack a little bit.
Yeah, totally agree. I'm not sure, John, you may have had that on your list as well. I know you talked.
I didn't have it on the list. I had it like 11 or 12 on my top 10. So, but it was awesome. Obviously, an awesome tournament.
All right. Well, let's not be a lot of good dads in this group.
Ouch. I will say this, Mike. Between me, Hayden, and John, we have 8 children, and Hayden accounts for 0 of those. So you're really taking shots at me, John. All right, Hayden. What's your next nomination?
All right. I think I could watch these highlights over and over again, and I'm thinking about it because I'll be at Valhalla this year. But Tiger at Valhalla in 2000 is just some of the best highlights you will ever see. The baggy pants are just immaculate. The baggy shirt, the chasing after the putt in the playoff. Like that was an example of, again, like we see Tiger in the blowout dominant, but in the, like, you have to make this in order to move on to the next hole. Like there was no one better at draining pressure putts than Tiger. And so you saw it at Valhalla. That's best.
The infamous, walking that birdie in on the first playoff hole, that aggregate 3-hole playoff, pointed in. He walked it in, I think, before walking in was a thing. And his nemesis.
He ran it in.
He did. He chased it in. It was awesome. And his nemesis, Bob May, you're like, who'd withstood, Tiger all day. That was the moment that you separate Tiger Woods from Bob May. And it was the heat of summer. You remember this when the PGA was the last one of the year. And in hindsight, you think about how important that it was, because in 2001, he turned around and completed the Tiger Slam by winning the Masters. And so that was a huge moment. I have that on my list as well, unsurprisingly.
And I was there that weekend.
Were you really?
I was there on Saturday, not Sunday, but yeah.
So you didn't leave like as he was about to. You didn't.
No, I didn't leave early.
Okay, that's fine. John, 2000 PGA, man, that's really close to being an automatic for me. I don't know if it is, but it's really, really close. Pierce, on your list?
I have it on my list for sure. I would say it's definitely top 10.
Okay, let's. I'm going to put just a very mild yellow next to it just to see if there's something else that pops up, but that looks really close. I'm going to go ahead and put a little note next to it. All right, Pierce, you got the next one.
I've got several I'd like to talk about. Probably the 2000 British at St. Andrews. Tiger wins by 8, sets the record for the lowest ever in a major, 19 under. And it gave him his first Grand Slam as a professional. So That was his first time to win the British, and he gave him the Grand Slam
at St. Andrews.
At St. Andrews, yeah.
I think that's an automatic. I just feel like for me that 2000 year was just a jaw dropping experience.
Incredible.
In fact, I didn't like him much in 2000 because I was so sick of just watching him win. But man, you had to admire how he was doing it. Anybody oppose that being green lighted? Michael, you okay with that one?
I'm good.
It's fine. It's fine. We got an it's fine.
Fine.
Okay. Do you want me to hold off on that a little bit for you?
No, it's
okay.
Good.
All right. Okay, it's good. It's fine. Fair enough. Man, I need to settle down here. I'm going to put the 2005 Masters on the list. It actually it turned into being a little bit of a fall apart as he bogeyed 17-18, but we all remember 2005 for chipping in beyond the 16th green at Augusta and walking that one into the hole as the ball hung on the edge, showing the Nike logo, and dripped in and is forever etched in our mind through commercials from the now defunct Tiger brand at Nike. He went on to win that in a playoff over DeMarco, but I just think for that moment, it's maybe the most singular Tiger moment. I have the 2005 Masters. We don't have to greenlight that, but for me, that's, if not the best, one of the best Tiger tournaments, one of the best Tiger moments, and I think that may qualify. Arguing against myself a little bit, but Mike.
Yeah, it's hard to put a whole tournament in for one moment, but that was one moment that was worth putting a whole tournament in the top 10.
That's exactly how I feel like it was. It was an unusual collapse for him to bogey in the last two holes. After that, it was really anticlimactic, but he ended up doing what Tiger does, and he won the tournament. So,
yeah.
All right, Nealon.
Has anyone said the 08 U.S. Open?
No, which is probably an automatic, right?
Green light.
Yeah.
Green light.
The Jordan flu game, right?
Yeah, really I have those exact words written out in my thing. Jordan flu game. This is it.
Great minds think alike. So good having you two back together in the pod. I feel like you're a complete person. I'm a complete person. You two being there. You both are complete people. Yeah, I think that's an automatic. And we really didn't know until after that event the extent of damage that he had to his knee. I mean, the guy didn't play again that entire season. That was it. And the fact that he had to play 18 more holes back when that stupid tournament was an 18-hole playoff against Rocco the next day.
Was it 18 or was it 19?
19.
They went one more.
Yeah. That's right. Thank you for clarifying. You're 100% right. It was like two tournaments, it felt like.
It's insane.
And the quality of his shot making down the stretch, not just, tee to green, but just around the greens was unbelievable. So I think that's a pretty good one there.
That one's for sure for me. And
so that's we have 5 for sures. And Hayden, you have the next nomination.
Oh gosh. Okay. I'm gonna see. I also went with some non-majors. I didn't know if we were gonna do categories.
Nope. Yeah, for sure. So, non-majors qualify.
One of my favorite memories, and I can't necessarily go into all the details, but I remember being so amped to watch the duel at Doral back in 2005.
Mickelson.
Phil versus Tiger. Yeah. Like both of them kind of at the peak of their powers or close to the peak of their powers of this like back and forth. And I used to love watching the Blue Monster, kind of like the end of that tournament was always exciting. I don't know why the tour stopped playing there. Anyway. It is. I do love that's a formational memory for me of growing up watching golf. Is like Tiger versus Phil at Doral.
It's I think one of the few times they were really head to head with no one else around them at the end of a tournament, and it made Phil even a more lovable loser. And it really was a moment. It's hard to greenlight it, but hold on to that because I think there's that and a couple others that will reveal themselves. John, how about you?
I'm going to go off script a little bit here and go with the 2000 NEC at Firestone. Tiger, when I think back of the greatest shots in Tiger's career, this one, the shot he hit on 18 on Sunday stands out. Yeah, It was dark. He's hitting between those two trees. you lose the ball, you're waiting forever, what it feels like, and finally it drops right, beyond the hole. I think I looked it up. He ended up winning the tournament by 11. He shot 64, 61, 67, 67 to win the tournament by 11. So the tournament really wasn't in doubt, but that shot is just etched in my brain. That was right during the Tiger heyday. And, I just vividly remember every week that Tiger was playing, I was glued to the TV. I wanted to see every shot because the dominance was unlike anything I'd ever seen before in any sport. I mean, he dominated every week. And so that shot sticks out in my mind. So, we were talking about the 05 Masters, one shot bringing a whole tournament to the top 10. For me, that one shot is enough to put that tournament in the top 10.
It was a wild moment, too, because they're thinking, man, are we going to just have to have him come back tomorrow morning to play one hole? And the dude's like, no, we're finishing this hole, and his playing partner, I remember who it was, had to go along with that. And that dude stuffed that 7-iron. And the flash bulbs, that was back in the day where, we could open the iris up and but even then it was still dark.
Yeah. It was pitch. Yeah. It was awesome.
John, not to surprise you, that was on my list as well. I don't know if I had it strictly in the top 10, but it was really, really right there.
I was 10. I don't really remember that much.
You don't remember that?
It was a seminal moment during that run of Tiger.
It really was. Like that 2000 year, they need to have like a 30 for 30 made up on Tiger's 2000. Like it was just
incredible.
Pebble Beach, St. Andrews, the Bob May event. This one, it's crazy. I'm going to jump ahead 20 years to one that is also not a major. It's one for some reason that sticks in my mind, and I don't know why. And it probably won't make the top 10, and it probably shouldn't. But it was his last win in 2020 in the Zozo Championship against a full field, a regular event. He'd won Augusta, and it was like, well, sure, he's going to win Augusta. He won the Tour Championship. Sure, there's only 30 guys in that field. But this was like Tiger off American soil, jetting around the world, 2020 off of back problems and ACL repair and marital discord. And it was kind of him validating the Masters win a few months prior. I watched every second of that tournament, and it felt like, man, maybe we're back to normal. Maybe he's going to start doing this again. And it turned out to be, because the next year we have a car accident. It turned out to be the last time we really saw normal Tiger, quote unquote, on the golf course. And maybe that's why it's more memorable to me, but I have the 2020 Zozo on there. I bet no one had Zozo Championship on their bingo card when it came to the top 10 Tiger wins. Mike is shaking his head. So, but I'm gonna float it out there, and maybe it sneaks in, maybe it doesn't. But I wanted to give it some recognition, just because for me it was very impactful. Mike, what do you got? There's so many good ones here.
Do they have to be wins?
Yes, that's the one. Okay. That's the one qualifier here. Is they have to be wins. I know you'd love to talk about his losses, but the
battle at Bighorn is out.
It's out. Bighorn's out. That's fantastic, though. That is so good.
That was great. That was Sergio's coming out party.
It was good TV. All right.
No, I don't, and I'm going to pass it off to you three because, quite frankly, anything I say right now is just going to be coming from Wikipedia.
Okay.
So fair enough. The ones that I offered are the ones that stick with me.
And Mike, you have two on that list, and maybe a third one that's going to be automatic. So I think you've done your due diligence.
I have a fourth. I do have a fourth.
You do. Why don't you say it?
His victory against the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department and withholding all records of that car accident. That's a huge win for him.
I'm not going to edit that out, Mike, just because
big
I
think that's
big win for the Tiger.
That's like 13, 14 on the list. I don't think it's going to make top 10, but certainly a good one.
There's no chance of editing that out because I know you worked so hard for that one.
I was waiting for the right time,
It was good.
I put that just ahead of his win over Billy Payne. After he made him Billy, I can't believe that boy would do that thing, and we're now in 2019. Tiger was back on top. Said, "You know what, Billy Payne, you're not even the chairman anymore. Why don't you just get out of here?"
And I'm still here.
Yeah. All right, Hayden. Mike is. We're probably not going to put the victor of the sheriff's department in there, Mike, but was a notable victory. That there's
very
so little known about that crash, or about the time his car ended up on the side of the road, and nobody quite knows. Anyway, Hayden, what do you got?
So I've got a couple left. One would be the 2013 Bay Hill win of him coming back to number one for the first time since 2010. Of these different peaks for Tiger, right? Of this longevity. There was a stat I was looking up today that he had 7 straight wins in 06, 07, 6 straight wins, 99, 2000, 5 straight wins, 07 to 08. Like, he has these stretches, but that he was number one in 2010, then wasn't number one, but then back on top in 2013 is incredible.
That's incredible. And I didn't have that one, Hayden. I did have the 2012 Bay Hill event where he came back after his injury and won his 4th event back after the ACL surgery after winning. Right. And he ended up making a 15-foot putt, I think, to beat Hunter Mahan the last hole, and it was just electric. So 2 Bay Hills on there. I'm going to put that. John, I jumped over you, but I think both those are really significant.
Yeah.
He loved Bay Hill too.
Yeah, I'd love. Yeah, Bay Hill was is a special place for him. I can't remember how many times he had winning there. 8, maybe. Is that right?
It might be close. Yeah, that and Firestone. He won those 2 places more than any other.
So it feels good that we should at least throw that out there. And I've got a couple more, but I'll let you guys jump in.
All right, Pierce.
Yeah, I've got a couple more as well. Probably the 01 Masters, the first of his back-to-back, gives him the Tiger Slam, which is a feat that I don't think will ever be repeated again. The 01 Masters.
And I think that's an automatic. I hate to say it. I just think you complete the Tiger Slam. You forget how much pressure there kind of was on him to win that tournament coming, off of the 2000 year. I'm going to put it up there as a nomination for an automatic just because we're probably running low on numbers. But that was certainly, the last time we'll see probably someone hold all 4 of those tournaments at the same time. And I think most of the time maybe thought he might be able to do all in the same year, but at least we could say, at least we saw someone win all 4 in a row in our lifetime.
But he never did it in the same year.
He never did in the same year. That's correct. He never did. Thanks, Mike, for
that's a good point.
Giving us that one. I'm gonna punt on a couple of these. We can talk about it here in a second. By the way, Hayden, I gave the wrong year for the Bay Hill tournament. It was the 2009 Bay Hill. He came back from the injury, not 2013. Yes. So I'm going to amend that to say the 2009. The one I have on the list broke a record. And guys, there's a lot of golf records. Jack Nicklaus's 82 wins for Tiger and Sam. But I think the most unassailable record in golf is the one I'm about to bring up next. And I'm going to put this on the list, and you might laugh. I don't think maybe in sports any record will ever be broken. I'm talking about, Ripken Jr. or Maris. In sports will ever be broken before, or all of them will be broken before this one will be. In 1996, Tiger won his 3rd straight U.S. Amateur Championship. I remember watching it. He beat Steve Scott, the kid from Florida, and it secured him as the greatest amateur of all time. It was the 6th consecutive USGA title, the 3 U.S. juniors, the 3 U.S. amateurs. No one will ever win 3 amateur match play tournaments in a row again like that, ever. Because no one's going to be an amateur long enough to do it, frankly. So I'm putting the 96 U.S. Am at Pumpkin Ridge on my list. Again, you guys can say whatever, dude. But it's
I think that's great. And you're also for like the other piece there is that he won 3 straight junior AMs before his 3 straight AMs. like that is also just unheard of this feat of he just held the crown of junior AM and AM.
Yeah,
just dominant.
It's bananas, how good he was. And also the fact that he never won a PGA Tour event as an amateur. That was also a little bit strange, to how dominant he was, and he played a bunch of events. He played it in the LA Open, and so he could never quite, get over the top. Anyway, let's open up to the field. Any others that you guys want to nominate? We don't have to go over the list, but is there any others that you feel like you really want to fight for before we kind of try to break this down to 10?
My last one that I just would love to throw in there because I do think it's so impressive is what he did at the NCAA tournament in 1996.
That's
you're talking about it.
Yep.
At the Honors Course, here in our beloved state of Tennessee.
Yep.
Where he was just lapping the field, ended up shooting an 80 on the final round. For the final round, he had a triple on hole 9. I don't know if you guys are familiar with hole 9. This diabolical,
the short par 4,
short par 4 with that green. Where if you're long, you're dead. If you're short, you're in the water. And if you don't hit it at the pin exactly, you're basically going to walk away with a triple bogey.
Yeah.
But Tiger survived a triple bogey there and won the NCAA title there at the Honors. And people say that's probably one of the toughest courses like that any amateur tournament has ever had was that year. I think it's so impressive and a fun memory for us Tennesseans.
That's awesome. It may not make the list. It's definitely an honorable mention. And also Scotty Scheffler would have never finished the 9th hole. He would have just kept putting it into the water. It would have just been drop, putt in the water, drop, putt in the water. It just never would have stopped. Pierce, any others you want to throw on the list?
The only other one I have, I think worth mentioning, and I don't think we've mentioned this, maybe we have, it's the 02 U.S. Open at Bethpage.
Yeah.
Tiger was the only player in the whole field under par, won the U.S. Open on a public golf course. Pretty incredible.
Also paired with Mickelson in the final round, who was the king of New York at the time, and won that tournament. So 2002 Bethpage was definitely on my list as well. The one I had was 2001 Players Championship, which was not a hugely dramatic win, but it was kind of the cementing of the last really hard course he had not won on. He won at St. Andrews, won at Augusta, not that course, but it's also like this test of a true great player. He hadn't won there yet. He would end up winning another Players Championship, but the 2001 Players is the other one I had. So anyway, that brings us to our nominations. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, Josh.
Yes, sir.
Just a quick fact check. I mean, clearly you were very busy watching golf over the last few years, but the Roger Maris record has been broken many times.
I'm sorry. You're right. The DiMaggio hit streak record.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I got my DiMaggio.
There's just been some big names.
Nope, yeah. You're correct. A mistake by me. I was talking about the hitting streak, the DiMaggio hitting streak. The Maris home run record is gone to the steroid era, even though it probably should be reinstated. All right. Sorry.
I think Tiger used steroids.
Okay, not on the list is that. So we have 17 tournaments. We have 6 automatics: the 19 Masters, the 08 Open, the 97 Masters, the 2000 Open, the 2001 Masters, the 2000 U.S. Open. What other ones do we look at and say that just has to be on there? Probably the 06 Open. I think Mike's right. I think that one is without Dad being there is probably one that will have to be remembered forever. We all good with that? Hayden seems nonplussed by it. Yeah. All right. 06 is in.
It's good.
All right. That's fine. Now it gets a little more dramatic. Anybody have a tournament they really want to angle for here to make our final 4? Final 3,
is Valhalla in?
2000 Valhalla.
Yeah. Is that in?
The walking in, it's not in. John, you think it should be in?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would put that 9-10 somewhere. Okay. But I think it's top 10.
It's top 10 worthy. All right, 2000 Valhalla against Bob May at the PGA Championship is in. 2 more spots, guys. Let me ask this in the final 2. Is there room for any non-majors in the final 2? Like if we were to think about that 2001 Players, the 2013 return to number 1 in the world at Bay Hill.
I think the 18 Tour Championship is the only non-major that should be considered.
Well, I mean, the Tour Championship is basically a major.
Because it's in Georgia, and you were there and you left that day.
It's such a huge deal.
Michael, do you have any recollection of the 2018 Tour Championship?
No.
Okay, there it is. Mike was playing golf.
I do remember that squirrely 9th hole at the Honors in '96.
All right.
Must see TV.
Hayden, we're gonna put the 2018 Tour Championship in just so we can ride you for not sticking around for one of Tiger's 10 best wins of all time. You can carry that label with you.
I was there.
Yeah, you're there and you left. All right, that leaves us with I'm gonna nominate, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, the 2005 Masters, the iconic moment of the ball hanging on the lip on 16 before falling in, and then going on to win in a playoff for the last of the top 10.
So then what gets left out as far as majors?
All right, so as far as majors getting left out, we're leaving out – really that's the last major on our list. I mean, there's plenty of other majors that we're leaving out, you know, that were good terms. The Bethpage 02 major we're leaving out, even though that was a really awesome event. But as far as our nomination list, that's the only major that is not going through other than the
you put the 01 Masters in?
Oh, no, I did not. 2001 Masters.
So that's the question then, is 05 Masters or 01 Masters?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Or do you bump the Tour Championship? Heaven forbid.
We didn't even talk about the 06 British when Tiger hit one driver the whole week. I'll never forget that week. We didn't even, that's not even nominated, but that tournament was incredible that he did not hit. He hit one driver.
That's the week that
in the British Open.
That's it wasn't 06.
What year was that?
It was man. 06 was Earl when at St. Andrews. I forget the iron one. Is it Troon when he did that?
I don't remember where it was.
It was 07. Who's got my research up there right now? I know Copeland is quick on the Google.
There's 2000, 2005, and 2006.
Was it 05? What was 05?
It was the 06 Open at Liverpool.
At Liverpool was 06. So 2005 was Earl. Am I missing? Am I getting my open?
06 was both. 06 was driver once and Earl. So that's got to be.
Oh, okay. That's the one that for sure needs to be pretty high.
The 06. Yeah, that's really high. That's in there. Where was 2000? Where was 2005? Where did he win in 2005? I cannot. My memory banks are shorting out on that one.
You know, I played Liverpool, Josh.
Have you? Did you hit
the
any?
Old course?
Did you hit a fair? 5 was the old course. So I had those backwards.
So Mike, did you hit driver?
I hit every club in my bag.
Okay.
And most of I was actually about to career. I was heading into 16. I had the lowest round I've ever played in my life.
That's right. I remember you texting us this.
And it didn't end well.
Didn't it end because you had to play the holes in a different order than what we saw in the tournament last year? So you ended
Correct. Yeah.
And you end up making like triple, double, triple to finish?
Well, I looked at the caddy in 16T and I was like, I've never played this well. And he goes, well, now you're not going to play well going forward. And
he was right.
Yeah, I went like double bogey. So
okay. So we have the 05 or we have the 06 on there with Earl at Troon. And so now we're looking at, do we bump the 18 Tour Championship and put the Masters in 01 on there and the Masters in 05 on there?
I vote yes.
Okay. So no regular tour events on there, Hayden. You're gonna be
That's fine. I mean,
off the hook.
You'll never see that event ever again like that of carrying Tiger off. They don't even have the Tour Championship format like that anymore. It's a special moment in time.
It was incredible moment.
How about this, Hayden? We'll make it the number one honorable mention. We'll make it 10.5, just for you.
You really know how to make a guy feel special.
Did the 02 Open at Bethpage make it in?
No, it's one of the honorable mentions.
He was the only player under par.
Okay, all right. What do we think? Do we bump? Do we dump the?
How far under par was he?
He was like 2, I think, wasn't he? Was he 2 under?
Yeah, we celebrating 2 under par, John.
Yeah, doesn't
we celebrating mediocrity here?
When everybody else is over, yes.
It was supposedly the hardest setup in U.S. Open history. Are we doing it?
They say that every year. Also, the U.S. Open's a terrible tournament. So
okay.
All right, I'm a huge Masters fan, so I'm good with 2 Masters.
I was going to say we are very biased towards the Masters in this crew.
Well,
so
we have a bunch of Masters on
support.
here. We have 4 Masters. We have 4 of his 5 Masters wins on here. Which one do we like? I think 2002.
Got left off?
2002 just sit there like, well, I guess I'm not good enough. That was only the back-to-back, Masters wins.
All right, Josh, give a rundown. The people want to know
where we're at.
What are the top 10?
2019 Masters, 2006 Open Championship, 2008 U.S. Open, the 2000 PGA, the 1997 Masters, the 2000 Open, the 2001 Masters, the 2000 U.S. Open, and the 2005 Masters and the 2001 Masters. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, so I have one too many on my list. No, I have the 2001 Masters on there twice, so we're good. So now we have to narrow this down. Do we start from 10 and get to 1? Do we start from 1 and get to 10? Is there a debate around 1? Are the top 2 clearly 2 Masters tournaments that bookended his career?
I think 97 for sure is number 1. I don't know if 19 is 2, but...
Well, here's my question. It would seem like just from historically, 97 should be number 1, set the record, all the things. He broke the color barrier there. But I do wonder if the 2019 Masters, like Mike, was a moment where people who had not been familiar with his work got to experience that. And then you throw in the fact that, Charlie and Sam were there and the Charlie hug and the tears. It just felt like we're picking nits, right? We're splitting hairs on these two things. But I put 2019 ahead of 97, and maybe I need to be more socially aware than that.
He also beat the best golfer in the planet to win that.
In 2019?
Yeah. Brooks Koepka.
Brooks Koepka beat himself by misreading a putt that everybody in the world knew which way it was going to break on 18. But
I do agree.
I didn't know which way that was going to break. That was a tricky putt.
I do agree that with Mike's point, though, of the field in 2019, golfers have only gotten better. We can say, oh, wow, Tiger's victory at Valhalla. You're like, oh, well, it was Bob May. Okay. But yes, golfers were good back then, but golfers have only gotten better, in my opinion, as far as just the way that people are working at the game, getting better, stronger, knowing how to play golf, analytics side. And so it is super impressive that Tiger has a modern era Masters win of 2019. That's insane.
It's insane.
Let me just list the 97 Masters leaderboard for you guys that don't remember. Tiger Woods number 1, followed by Tom Kite, Tommy Tolles, Constantino Rocca, Paul Stankowski. These guys were all up there. Jeff Sluman. Are you kidding? Willie Wood.
All right. 2019 Masters number 1.
The best of the best.
I don't know if you heard me say Pearl Ulrich Johansson, but he was in there.
Was he? Did he take a break from racing the America's Cup to play the Masters that year? Is that what happened?
Stuart Appleby. Come on.
All right. Oh, this is awful. I feel bad doing this, but 2019 number 1, 2000 and 1997 number 2, and
honestly, it's disappointing. We're talking about a historic. They're both historic, but 97 is the pinnacle of golf.
You're right. It's like Ali Rumble in the Jungle historic. It really is. It is on par with what Muhammad Ali did after being arrested for Vietnam. It's literally right there, and we just bumped it to number 2 because he won as an old man.
Fine. Because he gave his son a hug after the tournament.
Okay. All right, now I got to change it back. All right, you're right, John. Dang it, you're right. That's why you're here. You're the voice of reason. 97 number 1, 19 number 2. Yeah. What do you got, Neil? Uh-oh. Hold on.
That's so bad.
Do we need to vote?
Josh, I bet you were a big Willie Wood fan, weren't you?
Huge. I love the alliterative names. All right. Do we need to vote on this? There's 4 of us. No, 97. We go with 97 being the number 1.
So good.
I feel like John is more passionate about that than we are of 19, and that's where I feel like we will land.
I was about y'all's age in 97, so it's more memorable for me. So
fair enough. I mean, Hayden was there. It was his first one. I think
I was there at 7 years old.
All right. So we have 97, number 1, 19, number 2. We had some debate, not that anything that is lackluster at number 10, but it seemed that we are all kind of in agreement that the 2005 Masters and the 2001 Masters were significant for unique reasons, one being the Tiger Slam and the other one being kind of a momentous moment, but might not be on the same level as the 6 that are going to be in between. So do we want to put those at 9 and 10? In what order do we think they are?
I mean, 05 wouldn't make my list, so I would put it at 10.
Okay. What would you replace 05 with, Hayden? Just curious. The 18 Tour Championship?
Anything. 05 is overrated. It's overplayed. Wow, you beat Rocco Mediate. To Chris DiMarco.
Chris DiMarco.
Chris DiMarco.
Aren't they really the same guy anyways?
They are really the same person. This guy was putting with the claw grip.
So we're going to go 2005 Masters, number 10. And then the Tiger Slam Masters at number 9. So now we've knocked our 4 Masters tournaments out. There's no other Masters to discuss. So that's going to put us in, hold on here, let me make a quick count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, someone can't count. So I had counted the 2018 Tour Championship on here, actually, on my top 10, because there actually is room for it if it's between that and Bethpage.
Hayden will be happy.
I mean, is that something we want to do, or do we think about the Open in 2005? I mean, is this, again, are we overthinking it?
Did you say Bethpage is in there or no?
It's right on the cusp.
I would put Bethpage ahead of the Tour Championship, but I'm not from Atlanta, so.
So in 2005, Tiger Woods goes wire to wire. He basically ends the career of Colin Montgomery, and it's his second completion of the career Grand Slam by winning at St. Andrews in 2005. It's also, I think, if I'm doing my math right now, it's not maybe the last one his dad saw him win too.
Well, clearly dads don't matter in this group.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. I don't know why you guys care so much.
Did we even talk about whatever the match was? He beat Stephen Ames 9-8 or 9-8 or whatever it was.
That was the World Match Play, the Match Play Championship.
I'd be willing to put that in there. Talk about destroying a career.
He did. I think that's an honorable mention when he destroyed Stephen Ames' career. Stephen Ames didn't help do himself any favors by calling out Tiger's wayward driver, only to be annihilated afterwards. But my question is: Do we throw 2018 Bethpage, 2005 or 2018 Tour Championship, 2002 Bethpage, or 2005 Open Championship into the 10 spot? I'll sit here all night till we decide. There's people at home tuning us out.
The listeners are
out right now. They're literally.
Like
you can hear them turning off their iPad to listen to like Lady Gaga.
Unsubscribe.
Those terrible flashbacks to COVID teaching right now. This is
it's okay.
Just put 18. Just put the 18 Tour Championship in there to make Hayden happy.
Oh boy!
All right, I'm back in.
Let's back in.
All right. All right. All right.
I think when we look at number 3 and number 4, it has to be the 2 U.S. Opens.
Yeah, I was going to say
08 and Pebble.
Yeah,
08 and Pebble.
Yeah. So which one, 2000 or 2008, in that third spot? I agree. Both of them are. That's the spots they belong in.
I would go 2000 in the 3 spot.
Just that. I think that's the most dominant tournament of all time. Hayden, you all right with that?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are old, so you like the older tournaments. It's fine.
Hayden, I'm going to ask you as homework, if you ever want to do our podcast or your podcast again, because you started this mess, I would like for you to just YouTube the 2000 U.S. Open at Pebble Beach and just watch.
Yeah, I mean,
watch the video.
I've watched it.
Okay,
I've watched it. It's great. I'm just the in 2008 walking around with one leg, like that's way more of a big deal. Like
he had to be Rocco Mediate
for 91 holes too, and beating Rocco Mediate, who had cigar smoked himself into a coma by the time they got to the playoff hole. And it was also at Torrey Pines.
You guys keep dropping names of people he beat. It's not. Did Tiger really beat anyone of note? These guys are kind of nobodies.
Hey man,
maybe he wasn't tested adequately.
His whole career was a sham.
Let's go see who Sam Snead beat. Let's really show us.
I feel like Jeff Ogilvy wants to have some words with you right now.
Didn't Jeff Ogilvy beat Phil?
He did. He's the one he was the beneficiary of Phil's Wingfoot disaster, which also erased Colin Montgomery's Wingfoot disaster. All right, so we got 4 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 3 spots left. And we need to choose between the 2000 PGA, the 2000 Open at St. Andrews, and what's our last one here? And the 2006 Open with no Earl. So those are our 3. So the 5 spot. What's the 5th one?
I would go the 2000 British at St. Andrews with my next one, just because again, it's right during that year 2000 when it was complete dominance, and he dominated that one.
Yeah,
set the record for the lowest ever major.
And it was at St. Andrews. And
at St. Andrews,
it just felt like that was if the U.S. Open that year wasn't the coronation into the Ring of Honor that was occupied by Nicklaus and Hogan, that 2000 Open was. So I think that's probably right. And that's going to give us the last 2. Bob May, beating Bob May, or winning without his dad. Michael, go ahead, Mike. Say what you got to say.
Bob May, the juggernaut.
Maverick Nealon will have some words with you as well.
I'll just say that like the 2000 win at Valhalla is so great because of just the swagger of Tiger, of like that, just the walk, that is kind of sums up who he is. Like when he was at the peak of his powers, of like, I'm just gonna we're trying to beat daylight, so I'm gonna just go ahead and run this putt in and then see you in the next tee.
I think that makes sense. And all joking about fathers aside, Earl wasn't that great a guy anyway. All right. We did it. I'm a little embarrassed. I know. I'm a little embarrassed to start at number 10 because I think if anything's going to get our credibility smushed here, it's putting the 2018 Tour Championship ahead of Bethpage. But we all agree it's the right thing to do. So we are going to start with number 10, 2018 Tour Championship. Number 9, the 2005 Masters Tournament that Hayden desperately does not want on this list that made it anyway. Number 9, the Tiger Slam Masters in 2001. Number 8. Number 7, the 2006 Open at Troon without Earl.
Respect the troops.
Respect the
Love
troops.
You,
Earl. God rest his soul. His philandering soul. Number 6, the 2000 PGA at Valhalla. Number 5, the 2000 Open Championship at St. Andrews at number 4, the 2008 U.S. Open at Torrey in 91 holes. And 2000, that's also going to be the name of his autobiography. And,
wow.
See, I thought we were going to go with Wayward Driver.
I thought this was for the kids. I thought this was a charitable
that
podcast.
will be edited out. That's going to have to go away. That one's going to have to go away.
That's so good.
That is going to have to go away. The 2000 U.S. Open at Pebble. Number 2 is going to be the 2019 Masters tournament. And number 1, the 1997 Masters. We did it. We got a top 10. We did it in 38 minutes and 9 seconds, which was 7 minutes ahead of what we allotted. So I'm really proud of us for 4 pretty opinionated, strong-willed white dudes who like to get our way. That's a pretty good achievement. So, guys, I appreciate your time in doing that. I'm going to ask you one parting question, though, before we leave. And Mike, I'm going to start with you because your opinions have been so hostile as we are working through this list.
Fair and balanced.
Okay. And I think you're going to give us a good answer. Mike, will Tiger ever win again? Are we done with
No, absolutely not. He will never win again.
Okay. So we got a hard no. That's a hard no, right? I mean, that's not even like a no question.
That's a no question.
We're just thinking he's just going to back out if he's not in contention one way or the other, either mentally or physically.
Listen, all my personal feelings about him aside, the fields are better, the equipment's better, the things that gave him an edge when he was in his could win tournaments have been voided. The guy's just not that good of a golfer anymore, relatively speaking.
No, I get your point, even though it sounds fairly cruel. Hayden, Tiger, ever winning again?
There's only 2 chances, and it's either at the Masters or at the Open at St. Andrews. So I think I'm going to go, yeah. I mean, I didn't think 2019 was going to happen, but if there's a weird weather thing or something's happening at the Masters and strange things happen,
if he gets the Zach Johnson Masters, right? Like he gets the Zach Johnson Masters, it rains, the par 5s are not going to be reachable in 2 for everybody, even though Tiger still gets it out there pretty good. And it comes down to grit and savvy. And he'll
quit. We saw that last year. The weather was terrible the Masters last year. What happened? The worse he played, the bigger the limp got. The bigger the limp got, the more prone he was to withdraw, and he was done. Man. Thanks for showing up, Tiger.
Hayden, he's not even taking shots at Tiger. He's just taking shots at you. Okay, so there's a maybe from Hayden. John, what do you think?
Yes, he wins again.
Okay.
I think it's going to be 5-6 years from now. I think when his leg gets stronger, I think when he is older, I know that the competition's better. I know that there's so many good golfers, but Tiger's experience and competitive spirit, he wins again. And I do think it'll be at Augusta.
Okay. So you think he ties Jack with the 6th?
I do.
I'm going to agree with you, John. I think he wins again. I think if you look at the Sam Snead comparison that one last time, once Snead kind of got to 50, he stopped playing golf for a couple of years, and then he kind of got the bug. He got healthy. He went out and won at the age of 53. I think Tiger is going to be motivated similarly, and there's one thing motivating Tiger more than anything else, and I think it can't be understated, is he cannot let Phil Mickelson hold that record of the oldest ever win a major. I think that will stick in his craw. He hates Mickelson. I think you're going to see this tour live split really come down to the fact that Tiger is the tour and Phil is live. And I just think those 2 names can't be separated. He can't reconcile that. He'll find a way to win purposely in his mid-50s. And I'm hoping for that because I'm nearing that mark myself. All right, guys. Thank you so much. That was a really cool exercise, even if we may have to edit about 2/3 of it. So thanks again, John, Hayden, for joining us. We'll see you guys again down the road. Michael, as always, we'll be back next week to maybe have a less contentious Tiger Woods discussion, or maybe not even a Tiger Woods discussion. But appreciate you all. Any parting words? Nothing.
I'm excited for Mexico.
Sorry. Come to Harbortown, Tiger.
There it is. All right, guys. Appreciate you all. Thanks for listening to E9 Podcast, everybody. We'll be back next week. Have a great week. See ya.